Don't tell me you don't need me. I can understand. I want you. I need you. Please take my hand. Anything you want, anything you need, anything is everything to me. Anything you want, anything you need, anything is everything to me.
Mafia, what is going on, Mafia? Welcome into the Overreaction Sports Podcast, brought to you by the Market Dominator on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network. I'm your host, the voice of the Overreaction Sports Podcast. My name is Joe Miller, and you can always find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. And whether this podcast finds you around a cup of coffee, on the drive to work, at the gym with your AirPods in, or now live on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, let me just say one more time, once again, welcome. It is so good to have you. Do me a favor, first off the top, wherever you're listening to me, if you can see me, if you can hear me, whatever is going on, however you're taking in this show at the moment, do me a favor, take just a second to like, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on Periscope, whether you're on YouTube, whether you are listening on a podcast platform such as, I don't know, Megaphone, Transistor, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or whatever it is, Spotify, like this podcast. Also, do me the favor of subscribing, especially if you are on YouTube. Please do me the favor of subscribing. But it is so good to have you guys with me tonight. Let me just say one more time, welcome into the show. Once again, my name is Joe Miller, and this show is brought to you by the Market Dominator. And I talk about the Market Dominator often, and you guys ask me once in a while, who is the Market Dominator, Joe? Like, Joe, who is this Market Dominator guy you talk about? And the Market Dominator is none other than my great friend John Spazcheck. And John is a real estate broker with Keller Williams. And John is not only highly decorated and highly awarded as one of the best real estate brokers in Western New York, but he is also working for the largest real estate agency in the world, Keller Williams. And John is basically, if I had to tout somebody's horn, it would be John's. And I would tell you this about John: there's nobody better. I've used John. Most of my friends and family have used John to buy homes, to sell homes. If you're looking to purchase a home, if you're looking to sell a home, John is a life transition specialist. The last thing you want to do in this market right now, with it going crazy like it is to try to sell it by yourself. Don't go for sale by owner. There's a lot of statistics as into why, but you want to call John. Do me the favor of calling John. You can reach him on his cell. His personal cell, 716-570-3298. That number again, 570-3298. You can also email him at yourelitebroker@gmail.com. And one last thing, John is also Bill's Mafia. You can find him on Twitter at yourelitebroker. With that, everything is out of the way as far as the business side of things go. It's just so good to have you guys here with me. Whether you're a first-time listener, long-time listener, been with me since the beginning, since October 2019, or you just discovered me in the show, one last time, let me just say welcome. Today, got a great show for you. Muki Hakwins, Buffalo Bills beat reporter from WUFO Sports 1080. Muki is going to be on the show in about 11 minutes. We're going to talk the age-old discussion of drafting need versus BPA, especially what the Bills are going to do at number 30 with their pick. The draft is April 29th. Couple quick things. The Bills have done and put together a solid roster already for 2021. They've returned 21 of 22 starters with a notable upgrade at one position, at the wide receiver position, John Brown being the only guy that's gone, replaced with Emmanuel Sanders. There are indeed holes on this team, but none of them are what we would consider at this point crippling, right? The draft, however, and we've talked about it on this show, we've talked about it on the Hump Day Hotline, the draft is a legitimate crapshoot. It's a gamble. Rarely is a guy a can't-miss prospect unless his name was Peyton Manning or probably Andrew Luck. In fact, we could probably go through a litany of names as it pertains to guys that didn't pan out. Heisman Trophy winners, running backs, you name it, quarterbacks, wide receivers that just never worked out. So it is, for all intents and purposes, a complete and utter gamble. It's a crapshoot. I want to real quick just preface what Muki and I are going to talk about, basically with just effectively, the definitions of what these are. So we're talking best player available in the draft, right? Versus drafting for need. Best player available versus drafting for need. Now, if you know what this means, do me a favor, just hang on for a minute. At the end of this show, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take some questions for Muki as well. So please stick around if you've got questions for Mook. Mook is awesome. He's a great dude. He's one of my good friends, and he loves to answer people's questions. But please stick around. But if you know what BPA, best player available, means and drafting for need means, just stick around for a second. Let me like humor me for a moment while I just explain this to some people that might not know what that means. Best player available, just that. You've got a board, right? So there's a draft board. The draft board is set up by scouts of whom you employ. Hopefully you trust these guys. More than likely they've been employed for you or by you for some time, or they've been employed by somebody else. They spend years scouting players. The guys that are getting drafted in April have been scouted for years now. They spend months and months and months setting up this draft board. If you play fantasy football, it's a lot like that. It's a lot like cheat sheets, right? They've got a top 30 at each position. Quarterbacks, top 30. They got running backs, top 30. Wide receiver, linebacker, cornerback, top 30. And then they've probably got a top 200 to 300 players totally, both in athletic measurements as well as maturity, more than likely fit, culture fit, stuff like that. The pros to drafting best player available are simple. You legit get the best player left, hopefully, on the board. As your team, your scouts, as your people see it, you've got the best guy left, which means if you're drafting 15th and the number 7 guy is left, you're taking number 7, the 7th best guy on your entire board. If you're drafting 15 and the last guy left or the next guy left is number 15, it seems to me like you've got the same board everybody else has. Legit, you get the best player left per the board that's out there. It literally takes some pressure out of it. Like you're not, as prone to make mistakes. Number one, you're not going to reach. That's the biggest mistake that teams make. They reach for players. So they're drafting 15, right? And the next guy on their list is or the guy that they need is ranked on their list on their board at 30, and they go get the guy way too early. We've seen the Raiders do this a lot. Hopefully it avoids falling in love with a player. If everybody's on board inside of your room that we're going to draft the best player available, hopefully everybody's on board. Nope, that's what we're doing. Forget it. We're not going to fall in love with the guy. We're not going to reach. We're not going to worry about need. Whoever's on the board, we're going to scratch them off as they go. Whoever's left, we're taking. We're talking about pros of best player available on the Overreaction Sports Podcast. Depending on the year, it may be a perfect depth to development strategy. If you consider the Bills in 2020, 2021. And what I mean by that is the Bills don't have a glaring need anywhere, but they've got some depth issues in places in certain positions. And for them to take the best player, they could end up with a cornerback. They could end up with a linebacker. They could end up with a defensive lineman. They could end up with a defensive end. They could end up with a running back. And it's kind of a perfect depth to development strategy for the Bills because their roster is very filled out. Finally, the biggest pro for me as it kind of rolls out is you're going to gain the trust of your scouts and your front office because they know that the work that they're going to put in means something to you. The work that they spend, the moments that they spend away from their family scouting guys for years, if you go best player available, that means that what they tell you matters to you. As far as cons go, there's not a whole lot. The biggest one is you may draft the best guy left, and he's at a position where you're stacked. So if we're going to put this into some sort of a situation we understand, right now the Buffalo Bills are stacked at wide receiver. Stacked at wide receiver. So imagine a scenario where the Bills are going best player available. Number 30 rolls around. The best player on their board is a wide receiver. They take a wide receiver. We're all going to be a little bit shocked. And I don't know how well that's going to serve them. Now, obviously, they've got a couple guys that are a little bit older when you consider Cole Beasley and obviously Emmanuel Sanders. And they've got some guys in the tank still, too. I mean, Gabriel Davis is young. Stephon Diggs isn't old, but he's not young. But they've got a guy we haven't even seen before in Isaiah Hodgins. So the Buffalo Bills go out and they take a wide receiver, and it's what are we doing here, fellas? Clearly, if the number 7 guy on their board is a quarterback and the Bills are drafting at 30, And that guy is still there. The Bills are going to jump up and take the number 7 guy on their board, a quarterback, with Josh Allen and Mitchell Trubisky behind him. Worst case scenario in this situation, if you're stuck, if you are like dead set, bound, and determined, you are taking the best player available. Worst case is he works out, or best case for either a vet or a prospect, and then he can end up being traded. Real quick, and I'm going to have Muki coming up here in a minute. Muki is in the green room in about 4 minutes. I'm just going to talk about needs real quick. Needs meaning you're drafting for just that. You're drafting for the needs of the team. You've done all the same work, all the same scouts, all the same boards, right? But basically, you're going to say to hell with that, because hypothetically speaking, we don't have a starting. So this isn't real world. Hypothetically, we don't have a starting right tackle right now, and just say we're picking 15. So we're the number 15 pick. The top 4 tackles are gone. They're off the board. And the next one we have on our board is ranked 35. He's the 35th best player on the board. And meanwhile, a franchise cornerback is sitting there who we have ranked 5th overall. But we have 2 decent cornerbacks already. We're not going to take a cornerback because we have a need at right tackle. So we're going to reach. We can't risk waiting. Somebody else might take him. We can't risk dropping back. Somebody else might take him. We probably have forced ourselves to fall in love with this player, and then we do the one thing we don't want to do, which is reach. Pros real quick, and then I'm going to bring Muki on. You drafted a player. He's talented, probably. More than likely, any guy you draft is going to be talented, even if you reached for this guy. Drafting for need, drafting best player available. Again, it's a gamble. It's a crapshoot. This is where the cons line up. You wasted serious draft capital on a player you probably could have taken later. You lost out on probably several players who, according to your own scouts and board, are better than the guy you took. And you may have lost the trust of your scouts who are probably sitting there going, why are we even here? Why am I spending all this time away from my family if you're not going to take the words that I give you, what I say about these players? In the end, it needs to probably be an amalgamation of the two. You're looking at a situation, good teams, my guess is, allow their needs to set up their draft board way more than they are taking basically who they need, or of who not to take versus who you must take to mitigate risk in reaching horribly for a player. Wisdom in history seems to tell us that drafting the number 19 guy on our board at best player available would be better than drafting the number 17 guy if we have a Pro Bowler at that position, if that makes sense. Best case, which is rarely the case unless you are drafting top 3, the best player available is the biggest need on your team. So that is just a quick rundown. But right now, what I want to do is I want to bring in my guy. The reason that everybody's watching me right now, none other than Muki Hakwins. Muki, how are you doing tonight?
What's going on, man?
I'm loving life. I just gave a little bit of an educational lesson there. I had to talk fast because I had a bunch of content, but I wanted to get you on as quick as possible. But ladies and gentlemen, you are now hearing the voice of Muki Hakwins. He is the Bills beat reporter for WUFO Sports 1080. And the reality is, Mook, and you and I have talked about this before, like, everybody loves you. Like, the fans love you, the players love you, the coaches love you, everybody loves you. And there's various reasons, whether it's just kind of the chill factor that you bring, like people, like, they just kind of relax when you ask them questions, or it's the content of the questions. As a fan, I thoroughly just enjoy just the content of what you ask. Like, you don't ask fluff questions when you're in the media room, which to me is great. So the question I have for you is this. Tell us a little bit about Muki. How did you learn so much about football? What are your experiences? Like, why do you know more than the average guy? Me. Why do you know more than us?
I don't know.
You know why? Why?
No, I mean, I just love football. You know, I fell in love with the game, you know, at 6, 7 years old. You know, I played, you know, started off playing at 7, and, you know, it's just all I know. You know, it kind of, you know, it gave me my sanctuary. You know what I mean? No matter what, you know, go play football. It just took my mind off of everything. You know, no matter what was going on, you know, football was always giving me that outlet to, you know, just enjoy my true self and things that I love to do. Football brought that out of me. So that's something I continued on with it. You know, I went to school, got my, you know, coaching degree, liberal arts and science, phys ed coaching. I have another sports marketing and management. And, you know, and here we are. But I did play a little bit, and, you know, and I came back home. You know, I was coaching Little League. You know, I was coaching Little League in high school. You know, so right, I was coaching little league in high school.
Mookie bringing the resume tonight.
Yeah, I was coaching little league in high school. I'm just letting you
Love
know.
it.
You asked the question.
I
right?
love it.
I gotta give it to you,
Dude, I promise you, Mookie, people are literally out there going, why does this guy ask these questions and nobody else asks questions like him? Like, look, this is what people want to know. Like, how do you know this stuff? Coaching in high school, like, that's crazy, dude. Keep going. Give us more.
I coach little league. I coach little league. I coach right now. I'm currently coaching high school, and we're playing right now. I coach at Carnot here up in Tonawanda. You know, we won a championship a couple of years ago, and
Nice.
Eons ago, I won like 6 straight, and you know, it's just it's just that deal. But I've been coaching for a long time, man, and
Nice.
you know. When you coach, and hey, now when you're in, you know, journalism, when you're in that world, it's kind of like, well, I already speak these guys' language.
Right.
I'm already coming in as, you know, I put myself in McDermott's shoes, even I'm nowhere near that level, but I put it in his shoes, and what's going on in his mind? Like even with the players, like what's going on in his mind? Like when I asked Isaiah McKenzie that question, you know what I mean? It was like he was waiting for somebody to say that.
Dude,
you know
so you got to back up. So give context, because there's people listening, whether they're watching right now live or they're listening this week, that don't know what you're talking. This is phenomenal. This moment was amazing. So give it set the question up. Give us his answer. What happened?
Well, I went first in the presser, and you only shoot, you know, get your, you know, couple questions off because you want to be courteous to everyone else in the room. So I got another crack at it. I had 3 questions. Normally, I like to have my questions prepared because if you don't go first, then someone may ask that question.
Right.
But I like to be a little unique in areas where I know that nobody's not going to ask this question.
For sure.
And so I had that one stored, and they were kind of leading up to that, but it was like at the end of the day, everybody is coming back, and we know that Isaiah McKenzie could have got more money, and I'm quite sure that he did get offered more money in Chicago and Arizona, those other places. But do you sacrifice that for continuity and familiarity, and sometimes that do be more valuable than money. So I had to ask, you know, Isaiah that question, and once he said that, then you know, here we go with the, you know, hey, I will play here for Candy. You know what I mean? So I will play here for Candy, and that's how that came out. You know, even with the ranch and the blue cheese thing, like it's a simple answer to the question to ask those guys. Other than football, like, okay, we in Buffalo, we know all of Buffalo. Right. Chicken wings, steak. Right. You know what I mean? So, dude, I knew he was going to say ranch for being down south because hey, that's what they do down south.
That's what they do.
It's all ranch. Up north is blue cheese. But you know, we had to embrace him a little bit there, Bill's Mafia style, with that answer. So he got it right.
I legit name dropped you with my 14-year-old. So if those that are listening are very aware of my 14-year-old McKenna, who loves the Bills, she's in the car with me yesterday, and she goes, "Did you hear that Isaiah McKenzie said in a press conference that he would stay here for Candy?" And I was like, "I did, and I know the guy that asked the question." And she's like, "You do?" And I was like, "Yep." That's my guy Mook. There's just something about the way you ask questions, and the Mafia loves you and appreciates you, and I do too. Just the insight that you bring and what you know obviously give to us on the chop up with Jay Spence. You just do a great job. But we are talking best position available versus need, and we're going to get to what everybody wants to talk about, which is running back at number 30 or not. Which way do we go? But I got to ask you this question, and I don't think I sent this to you previous. Are you a BPA guy? Are you a needs guy? Or are you more of what I said, kind of an amalgamation of the two at the end? Where are you at? Where do you fall, BPA needs guy?
Well, right now, okay, I got to put my GM hat on right now.
Put
Even though I'm not the GM, okay?
Put it on.
The record reflect. I'm no bean, okay? I'm no bean, all right? But, okay, when you look at the team right now, all right, we done made these splashes. And, you know, once again, I want to go in and I want to pick these guys' brain because I want to know what these guys are thinking. This is our job to know what these guys are really thinking. What's the angle? What are they really going for? So when I got the chance to speak with Mr. Bean, you know, I had to ask him, dynamic rookie or dynamic veteran?
Right.
And I got my answer. You know, he more or less go with the veterans not because of still what's going on with COVID. It's still some uncertainties and some unsures. With a veteran, he's in your building right now. He's going over steam. He got his playbook. He's gone already. You know what I mean?
Right.
These rookies, they're not even in the building yet. You know, they still in school. You know, so it's a lot of things that, you know, you're dealing with, especially when your team is one. Basically, last season, it was one game away from, you know, the big dance. So I kind of got my question. And, you know, veterans, they want to go with veteran guys. And when you look at pick 30, as I was saying, BPA, you go with the best available player at 30, which with Brandon Bean, that's what he covets. Just, right then and there, taking the best available player. Because when you look at the offense, you look at the defense, there's really nobody that's coming in and starting. You're not drafting for a guy to start right now because the roster is, everybody's back. So, you could look at when you look at 30 right now, is quality depth piece. He's a quality depth piece that's going to be on your team for the next 3 to 4 years. Hopefully. You know what I mean? So now it's the best player available at this point. When you look at the acquisition of Matt Breida right now. So that was your question at 30, because I know everybody was talking about Najee Harris. You had Travis Etienne.
Don't get ahead of me. Don't get ahead of me.
Oh, okay. All right. I can get a little bit ahead.
Come on, we got to tease them a little bit.
It's all about the best available player, Joe. It's all
BPA.
about the best available.
But where are you at? Are you a BPA guy? Because we see different teams take different approaches. We see some teams reach consistently Raiders for a speed guy. If a guy's running a 4.36, the Raiders are going after him wherever he is, no matter how good or bad he is. And other teams seem to kind of like, Bill Belichick seems to fall into that BPA standpoint, and it hasn't worked out for him either. Like, the Patriots have not been a good drafting football team outside of linebacker, right? Linebacker, edge rusher, wide receiver has been awful, like bad.
True, but you got to look at that best available player at a scheme fit too. You can't just take this best available player just because he's fast and you can't do anything else in your scheme. You know what I mean? So you got to take a best
unless you're the Raiders.
Player.
Unless you're the Raiders.
Right. Unless you're the Raiders. Speed. No matter what, we can make a scheme for him, right?
Right.
But you want to draft the best available player according to the scheme that your defense in, the scheme that your offense is in. Now, if the Bills are going to take a guy and he's like, let's say he's a speed guy, he's just fast. Then the Bills have something particular and more specific for that guy that fits his strong suit within their scheme. They're not just going to take the guy because he's 4.25. Right. Is he a scheme fit still? Yeah. At 4.25, is this guy still a scheme fit for us? So you got to look at best available player at a scheme fit need more or less than a positional need, because do the Bills really? There are some needs, but it's not really a need where we need a guy to come in and be an immediate impact right now. Maybe a situational guy that could be an impact situationally, but someone that's going to come in and be like a Stephon Diggs type. Prime example. They traded their first round pick last year. So it's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's no starter that they were looking for to come in at 22 last year that was going to be immediate impact.
Right.
So you take that first round pick, you bring a veteran guy in.
That's right.
And look at the results when you bring a veteran guy in. That's more valuable than that pick 22 that the Bills had. And then furthermore, we're looking to be in the playoffs anyway. So we're going to be picking in the back end of the first round for years to come. That's so 9 times out of 10, that would be your best available player.
It cannot be understated either, in my opinion, that when you talk about the Bills board and the best player available, they're not looking at just metrics, whether it's scheme fit or culture fit, maturity, like personality. There's a lot that's going into what Brandon Bean and even Sean McDermott, we've seen them chase guys out of the building. As far as like if somebody just gets out of line momentarily, they just run them out of the building. The Bills have been, so for everybody watching, you're watching, tuned into, and listening to the Overreaction Sports Podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network. And I'm sitting here with Muki Hakwins, the Bills beat reporter from WUFO Sports 1080. Like and subscribe, whatever platform you're on. Real quick, the Bills have been active this offseason, but not quite the way we probably had thought they would be. And what I mean by that is, every year we go into the offseason and we expect free agency to open and the Bills to make huge splashes and like bring in a whole bunch of free agents and sign them. But they didn't. They re-signed their own. Of the guys that we re-signed, real quick, just quick, like who was the biggest surprise? Who were you like when the re-sign happened? You were like, whoa, didn't see that one coming.
Well, Milano was the biggest surprise.
Without a doubt.
Milano was the biggest surprise. I mean, when you look at it, like, okay, his market value was at 14 per. So when you look at that and guys know what their market value is, they want to maximize their market value. But once again, we had to ask Milano, when you took that contract, we talking Family Dollar discount,
Right,
baby. Like
right.
24th guaranteed, 4 years, 41, but 9 times out of 10, he's going to see every bit of that 41.
Yeah, for sure.
But for that type of contract, for his market value, speaks a lot about the character of Matt Milano, because I didn't see that coming. And 9 times out of 10, guys won't do that. They don't do that. Nobody's ever done that.
I can't name it.
So that was surprising for me that he took that deal with that type of deal, knowing what his market value was.
For sure.
And that, and that prompted my question again with Isaiah McKenzie, because he kind of did the same thing. He took a $1.1 million deal, only $350 guaranteed. And I know that he could have got more, on the market. But once again, it's continuity, it's familiarity, a shot at a contender team. You don't want to go nowhere after you done built this program from the bottom to the top, and you leave that program to go somewhere because they're going to play you the highest money, but the culture isn't the same. You got to make new friends, and sometimes guys can be jolly scared to even try to take that leap of faith. Stick to what and they trust the process. So by them trusting that process, they bought into the system, they love the culture, and they want to see the thing through. And that was the biggest surprise with Milano, and that triggered a lot, because now you see that the Bills are being a standard of the league on how you handle things organizationally. You start to see it. You look at Miami and how they doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's trying to probably figure out how the Bills did this, because they doing this, and I mean, this is unbelievable what the front office has been able to do with this franchise in such a short period of time.
Yeah, let's be honest. Most sports journalists are not fans. I know you are. I'm not a sports journalist. I'm a fan, but most of the time, I've talked to other sports journalists, even in Buffalo, and I've asked them how they felt about certain games and certain things that happened even this season. The fact that we won, 13 games in the regular season, 15 games total, and like, you know what? I'm kind of disconnected from it. I'm writing my report like in the fourth quarter. I'm not really paying attention to what's going on. To hear Mike Greenberg, of all people, who is a Jets fan, like he lives and dies by the Jets, for him to come out and say a division rival, they've got the best front office and they're doing it better than everybody else is doing it. Like they're just doing it better than everybody else is doing it. Like it's incredible just to hear what people just around the league and other, obviously front office execs, sports journalists, and all these guys are saying about. It's just wildest dreams land, man. I've been saying it for an entire year. We are just living in wildest dreams land. Real quick, few of us that were content creators, I think you and I actually talked about it maybe offline once before. The QB2 was a very, very serious position in need. Obviously, biggest surprise free agency wise, signing free agents, was that Mitchell Trubisky deal. From that standpoint, have you done any study since then of Mitchell Trubisky fit? As far people are comparing him to Josh Allen. To me, there's an aspect of like, he's not Josh Allen. If he was Josh Allen, he's not signing for $2.5 million a year as a backup. Like that's not what he's doing. Like is he athletic? Yes. Can he throw the football? Yes. How do you see his fit if he has to go in for 4 games? Clearly, we're better shape than Matt Barkley. But thoughts on Mitchell Trubisky?
Great pickup. It was a great pickup. When you look at it, when you look at Sean McDermott, when you look at Brandon Beane, now. This is they only been a general manager one time. They only been a head coach one time. They haven't been a head coach and general manager anywhere else.
Right.
All right. So, they're going to bump their head on certain things. But one thing I can say about those two guys, they are quick learners. All right. They do not make the same mistakes twice. And, they're learning. Even how they handled Josh Allen's first year, with the quote unquote, the quarterback competition. That wasn't good, but they realized that.
Right.
Even with right now, when you look at the situation up front, when you talk about when in the exit presser, he said, if I would have knew how this was going to turn out, things would have been a lot different. I went crazy in free agency. So that's lead me to believe maybe Jordan Phillips probably would have got that contract, or Shaq Lawson would have got that contract, than opposed to what the route that the Bills took on bringing in Quentin Jefferson and the rest of those guys. So he's learning from that. Another thing that they're learning from, they took Jake Fromm because he was the best available player at that point in time, at a need at quarterback. Matt Barkley, 1 year left on his deal. Let's try to bring another guy in here, see if he fit our system, see is he a culture fit for us. Also, you get Jake Fromm, and Jake Fromm, don't get me wrong, he's a very polished quarterback. You know, he's polished. He's good. He's going to be a guy that's going to be prepared in the event if something did happen to Josh. He's a pocket passer, so he's going to understand that from that sense. You know what I'm saying? So they got the best available player at that point. Now moving forward and learning and thinking now, like, hey, Josh, you know, he does scrambles a bit more than your average quarterback. So we got to get that same type of guy. Trubisky makes the offensive scheme still dynamic scheme. Other than if Josh go down, you got Barkley in, which he's one-dimensional. He's one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Josh is a dynamic player. Trubisky has those type of traits in him. He doesn't have the size. The arm isn't as big as Allen is, but he's just good enough to make the system still flow without no type of setback.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have to dumb down my offensive scheme now because of the quarterback. Right. I can still be mobile with my RPO, my zone read, and effective in my passing game because I have an athletic quarterback to back Josh Allen up, and my playbook, can stay the same. I don't have to vanilla down my playbook now because I do have a dynamic quarterback that's mobile, and he has a solid arm. I mean, come on, man. He was number 2 overall for a reason. He just went to the wrong team. It wasn't the scheme fit in Chicago.
He's got some arm talent for sure, and he might not have everything that Josh has going on upstairs, but who knows what is going to come of it spending a year with Josh. We saw what Josh being in the room with Matt Barkley and with Derek Anderson and some of these older vet guys did for Josh. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Overreaction Sports Podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network with my guy, Muki Hakwins from WUFO Sports 1080. We're going to take some questions from Muki here shortly, so stick around. Which is a little bit different. I haven't been doing that, but I elicited some feedback from the viewers on this show. I just reached out to some folks that I love that are always in here, some regulars. And I was like, how can I make this thing better? And they're like, what if you stuck around long enough just to take questions from the guest? I was like, that's actually a really good idea. So we're going to stick around a little bit after this, but we're going to get to what everybody's here for, which is the draft. So with most of the big splashes in free agency done, clearly I don't see the Bills going out. There's a lot of guys out there still that they're going to bring in for next to nothing peanuts. Right now, though, where do you see our team needs when we talk about best player available versus needs 30 and on down the line? Where do you see our team needs as a team as we look forward to the draft? The draft being April 28th, right? The draft is April 20th or 29th?
29th to the 1st.
29th to the 1st. So what are our biggest needs right now?
When you look at this roster right now, the biggest need is a cornerback.
Yeah.
When you look at all the holes that the Bills have filled in free agency right now, all right, you look at the Bills before free agency began, you needed Feliciano and Williams. Okay, so line was important there at that point.
Yep.
Running back, it was still uncertainty at the running back. We have Breida now. So what's the common denominator? A linebacker. We signed Matt Milano, but I still feel that we do need more linebackers still. But one thing that hasn't changed was the cornerback. Now the Bills did everything, as far as bringing a guy in those positions, but they haven't brought in another corner. So that's leading me to believe that they're going to get a running mate for Trey White in this draft.
That's good insight that we have not. I have not heard anybody talk about that. I've not heard anybody talk about, and obviously we've got some time yet still before the draft, but we have not heard anybody talk about what you just said. That is great insight. The fact that the Bills obviously had a need at RB1. They went and got Matt Breida. Who knows if he's an RB1? He's clearly probably going to be better than the two guys that we have just from a fit standpoint. They haven't looked at anybody. Like they brought in a wide receiver. They haven't looked at anybody at cornerback. So that almost points in the direction of that might be an arrow. Like that's where they're going. And
when you look at the dynamics of it, okay, this is McDermott's 4th year, right? Yep. So things kind of like revisit themselves over. Those guys now, those draft picks now are in their 2nd contract.
Sure.
So you look at it, you say, you know what, that worked for us. Okay, so how about do the same draft the same way, the same exact way? You had Trey White, you had Deion Dawkins, you had Matt Milano. So guess what? The next 4 years, those guys are going to be up there in age. So those next group of guys would be 4-year veterans trying to work on their 2nd deal. So that's why I figured, I was like, maybe the Bills, maybe, it's a pattern on how he does stuff.
Yeah,
There's always a method to everybody's madness.
Oh, yeah.
So I figured, I said, maybe this is the 4th year. So you go get you another cornerback to match Davis. You go get your quality depth lineman. You go get you a linebacker that could play alongside Matt Milano. And one thing we have not saw yet was Coach McDermott actually find his hybrid guy. He was the one that kind of invented that position in Carolina. With Kuechly and Thomas Davis, and Shaq Thompson. These guys were safeties converted into linebackers. So that's something that McDermott created. So he has not really went after that hybrid guy, and there's so many of them in the draft this year. So edge rusher is definitely a need, because we got to get after the quarterback on 3rd down. And, we all saw what Jason Uwe did at Penn State. And, I had a good opportunity to speak with him as well. I spoke with Divine Diablo from Virginia Tech, another hybrid guy. So, cornerback, pass rusher, and then I would say linebacker. I still think it's going to be different. When you look at what Coach McDermott said in this presser, size and speed. So I'm thinking that, okay, they're going to go get a big, fast corner, which they are some in this draft. And, they're going to get somebody that can, rush that passer. And, those are 2 elements that they need, right now. You're definitely going to need linebackers to cover, not just Matt Milano now, because you got Patriots with 2 tight end sets. So you're going to have to bring in more than, just Matt Milano to have that issue. We lost the AFC Championship game with Milano on the field, trying to check Travis Kelce. So that's letting me know that we still need more at that position, because if he goes down again, who do we have? We already experienced that again. AJ Klein played awesome, but he still struggles in coverage. Tremaine Edmonds, he struggles in coverage. Let's keep everything on 100 right now. They struggle in coverage. So we need a complete cover guy, whether that's going to be a safety converted into a will linebacker, or you're gonna have to find a true linebacker that can cover, a true natural Sam that can cover and support the run.
Tremaine Edmonds strikes me as a guy, because he's still so stinking young. He just strikes me as a baby giraffe or a baby horse, where their whole, their body's just out of control. And at some point in time, he's going to be mature and have grown into whoever it is that he's going to be, and probably dominate. So there's just a matter of patience that we need. We're going to get into what people want to know. And the question is this: we're on the board. We're on the clock. We're staring down number 30. We haven't moved up or down, right? One of the big 3 is there. I don't care which one. Najee Harris, Etienne, Javonte Williams. One of the 3 are there. They take one of them. What are your first thoughts?
It better be Najee Harris if they take him.
Not all 3 of them are there. One of the 3 is there. So you've got different opinions varied upon them. So Najee, you're all in on.
Yeah.
Okay. What about
well, but you got to look at it. They got Breida now, so that took my assumption away. That's what I'm asking you. Breida, that took my assumption away.
That's what I'm asking you. So we are on the clock. Everything is exactly the way that it is. We've got Breida, because I've got a follow up. You saw it. I sent it to you. We've got Matt Breida. One of those 3 guys is up. So if Najee's there, you're taking him. You don't pass him up.
No, I can't take Najee right now.
ETN.
I can't take ETN right now.
So you're not taking him. Or what about Javonte Williams? Neither. So you're literally. So if the Bills go running back at 30, you're mad at this point. You're like, why would you do that?
If the Bills go 30 at running back, somebody's getting traded.
What? Stop. So what if he's the best player on the board?
Now he goes down the best player on the board at that situational need.
See, this is so on Wednesday on the Hump Day Hotline. So Jay Spence and I, which you are super good friends with Jay Spence, obviously the 3 of us are boys. Jay Spence and I are going to go up against, if there is such a thing, Bruce Nolan on Wednesday in the Hump Day Hotline, because Bruce wants to bring his arguments to why you never draft a running back at 30 or higher in the first round, whatever. But to me, what I said was, if your entire roster is balanced, you're bringing back 21 of 22 guys. And the 22nd guy that you let go, you have brought in somebody better in Emmanuel Sanders than John, and we all love John Brown. This isn't a John Brown diss. Emmanuel Sanders is a better wide receiver. If you've got that luxury and the best player on the board is a running back, what's the difference if you take a running back if he's the best player or a tight end if he's the best? I mean, clearly the Bills have a little bit of a need at tight end, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if he's a BPA, don't you, when you're balanced, don't you take him?
Yeah, but you don't take him just to take him now. I mean, you don't take him just to take him now. If you take him, oh, I'm gonna take him and I might use him as trade bait.
Right.
But what am I taking him for? If I'm taking him, then like I said, something's going to happen in that running back room. Somebody's not going to be there.
That's the question.
If you take a running back at 30 right now that they had breeded in. Now, has they been looking to get better at the running back position? Yes, they have. During the course of the season, they was trying to go after Le'Veon Bell. I thought that they would try to reach back out again, knowing that Le'Veon will be a free agent at some point.
Right.
But, that hasn't happened. So, the Bills are not going to wait, and rightfully so, because, I mean, they're one of the top dogs. They don't have to wait. You know what I mean? Breida wanted to come here and, and experience this culture on a 1-year trial, a scheme fit because he's a zone runner. That's something
that's a scheme fit in your eyes, because this offensive line sucks at playing zone. They can't play the wide zone.
Well,
you don't think they're going back to pin and pull? I think they're going back to pin and pull.
Well, we have to see. I think they're going to stick with this because when they brought Stephon Diggs and they changed the dynamics of the scheme, the scheme changed drastically when Stephon Diggs came. Right. Remember, Josh Allen was supposed to be a game manager. He was not supposed to be this elite gunslinger. He was just going to be a game manager. We're going to slow roll him. We're going to, use our run game, and then we're going to use Josh to do some run action and yada, yada, yada. Stephon Diggs came and changed the whole dynamics of the offense. It goes in the air. So now you have to coincide a run balance with that, which is more spread, RPO, zone, action type of deal. Bills, the years previous, was a power runs team. That's where Singletary fits the mold.
I got to play.
It went zone.
I got to play devil's advocate just for a minute. I find it hard to believe, and this is just, I'm not, so don't get me wrong, and Bills Mafia that are listening, don't get me wrong. I just find it hard to believe that on Tuesday of last week, had we all had a conversation or last week we had this conversation, I don't think you and I are having this show last week, Sunday night, going, Matt Breida, just go get Matt Breida. Problem solved. And all of a sudden we get Matt Breida, and like all of the people that are smarter than me, you're one of them, Greg Thompson, Bruce Nolan, all you guys, like you guys are all legit smarter than me when it comes to X's and O's. And everybody's like, problem solved. Well, why wasn't anybody pining for Matt Breida a week ago? Now all of a sudden the problem solved, but a week ago, everybody, the argument was there's nobody out there, so we're gonna go running back at 30.
Yeah, I mean, he was a long shot. He was kind of like a dark horse coming to Buffalo, because you got to look at it like do players still want to come to Buffalo? After all that what happened this year with the Bills and what's been going on, do players really still want to come to Buffalo? So, you get that. We appreciate Le'Veon and J.J. Watt for, letting the whole world know that, Bills are one of my top choices. And, that hasn't happened in a long time for the Bills even to be mentioned in the limelight of, the top players in the league like that.
Right.
So, then you got Matt Breida here. You got Emmanuel Sanders here. Guys that came from different places that are here now that's going to love this culture. And one thing before I don't mean to jump back off.
You're good.
Trubisky, he's going to resign in Buffalo. Right.
Come on.
I'm going to go out.
No way.
He's going to resign in Buffalo. Wow.
Hot take on the
He's going to resign in Buffalo. Wow.
Dude, write it down. It was spoken into existence on the Overreaction Sports Podcast right here on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network.
But if you have to take one dojo 30 right now, if I had to take a player, I'm taking Uwe. If Uwe's there at 30, I would like to trade back. I kind of feel that the Bills could trade back just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
4th round pick. You got to wait till my next mock draft come out. It'll be out tomorrow, actually. But yeah, I'm predicting the trade. I think the Bills always trade in the draft. When you look at this new regime, they've always traded for the most part.
Yeah, Bean's active.
Look for a trade to happen. But if it's not, I think it's Uwe, because you can't teach 4-3.
Right.
You can't teach 4-3.
Is there a guy there? So the Bills took Tre'Davious White at 27. And Tre'Davious White is not a generational talent, but he's a franchise corner. What are the chances of another one of those guys being there, another Tre'Davious White being there at 30?
Yeah, it's definitely guys that's going to be available. It's going to be guys that's available in the second.
I didn't say guys. There's going to be cornerbacks available all the way to round 7. I said Tre'Davious White, like franchise corner. Like,
nah, I can't say that.
Yeah.
Not too many of them. I mean, they're going to be gone at that point by pick 30. But you still got Tyson Campbell. You still got Eric Stokes. You still got Afidi Melifonwu. You still have guys out there, Asante Samuel Jr. You're still going to be guys to pick from. That could be that solid number 2. Our franchise is there. But to have 2 franchise number 1s, it's a luxury. But I don't think that is no Tre'Davious Whites, that's going to be in this year's draft like that.
You said something interesting a second ago about guys wanting to come to Buffalo. And I think it needs to be cemented in the heads of the mafia, because we've been told over the last 17 years that Buffalo is Siberia. And we all know that that's not true. And I give Rich Eisen crap all the time on Twitter, because there was the one Monday night game or Sunday night game. And like the NFL Network comes on and he's like, here we are in frigid Buffalo, New York. And it was like 42 or 39 degrees outside. And I immediately was texting him or tweeting him. I was like, bro, right now it's 32 in Chicago. It's 29 in Boston. Like, it's like colder everywhere than Buffalo. And you just said frigid. Like, why are you carrying this narrative? But so, yeah, I'm holding. I've got a grudge as it pertains to that. But to get it out of the collective mafia mind, not only did Mitch Trubisky sign here for peanuts, right? But like literally, Matt Milano took a hometown discount. Matt Milano was like, I want to stay here. You've got Isaiah McKenzie, who wanted to sign for candy. Levi Wallace told his agent, don't even call anybody back. I'm not going anywhere. Don't counter. Like, whatever they offer me, I'm taking. Like, the narrative has changed as it pertains to wanting to play in Buffalo. It's just different. Like, this is where people want to be. And I think we as the mafia need to let that go, right? We need to let that whole nobody wants to play in Buffalo thing go. We just need to
which is that stigma for a long time, though, Joe.
Right.
I mean, it's just been that stigma. I coach Corey Graham. Now, if I don't know if you know Corey Graham.
Oh, yeah.
I
Love Corey Graham.
Corey Graham won me my first Little League championship in 1998.
That's awesome.
All right. So here he is, had this great career, go to the pros, Super Bowls, and all that stuff. But, when the Bills brought him home, he told me, he was like, man, everybody think that, this is what they say about the Bills. The Bills is like the NFL minor league team. They get you ready for the pros.
Right.
Because when you did look at it, you look at our guys, we draft them, but we was never signing them and then go somewhere else and win the Super Bowl. So we was the NFL minor league club. We did get those guys ready for the pros their first 4 years, and then they go sign big money somewhere else and then become who they are.
Robert Woods.
Yeah, right. I mean, the list,
Marshawn Lynch.
Long list.
Yep.
Long list. We don't even want to go there. We ain't got enough time in the show to even talk about that list. But yeah, that was the culture. Until a guy named Sean McDermott came and changed that culture. Yeah. When you got guys, look at Levi Wallace. He's born in Arizona. You look at McKenzie and Milano. They're Florida guys. Don't you think they would rather go back and play somewhere where it's warm? Even Micah Hyde said it, like, Buffalo, I'm gonna go somewhere where it's warm. He was in Green Bay.
He was in Green Bay. Green Bay's colder than Buffalo.
They chose. Hey, you come here to work, no matter where you are. You go to the beach in your off day or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? But you're here to work, and that's the symbol of Buffalo, man. Hard worker, atmosphere, you know what I mean? And man, we love football. You know what I mean? We work hard and we love football, man.
The greatest difference to me through the 17-year drought, and McDermott changed it. And I argue with people all the time, even still, as a fan, as a season ticket holder, that want a dome. And it's like, these players don't give a crap about a dome. Well, they get cold. And it's like, they don't get cold. Like, we live in this weather. When it's 19 degrees outside and then it goes to 40, we all are breaking out the flip-flops, right? And when it's 29 degrees outside or 32 degrees outside and it's been 32 for a month, we're not cold. You bring somebody up here from South Beach, they're freezing. It's not the same for us because we live in it. And they're like, but they're not from here. They're from Florida. It's like, you live here for 3 months. If you're here from August, September, October, November, when December comes around, you're kind of used to it. Like, I don't care what the temperature is outside. I'm wearing a hoodie. I don't wear snow jackets. Do you wear snow jackets?
No,
No, like,
so
hey, it's 27 degrees outside. Where's my hoodie? Right? I mean, it's like I don't know. I'm just so over a lot of this conversation as far as that goes. But back on topic, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Muki Hakwins, the Bills beat reporter for WUFO Sports 1080, and it's just a pleasure having you. But this is the question, and you like it's funny because you teased it, and I told you to stop like 20 minutes ago. If by chance, some chance, we take one of those guys, they're sitting there at 30, ETN, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams. It doesn't, whichever one. We've got Breida. The Bills find themselves picking one of those guys. Clearly, we're not keeping all four of those guys. And you said a trade's going to have to happen. DS, Devin Singletary, Zemo, Breida. Which one's going?
I mean, you have to look at it. Breida's not going anywhere. They just signed him. Zach Moss. He just got drafted to the team, and he was that zone run guy that they drafted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they needed a zone run guy. So they
right.
Zach Moss. So yeah, our guy right now is Devin Singleton.
Yeah.
You know, I love the guy. You know, but this boils down to the business portion. If you had to decide on that, I mean, right now he's I don't want to say he's looking like the eyeball out, but you know, just to answer the question, you know, that would probably be the more political answer.
he's probably would be the most coveted player. I don't know that Zach Moss, as much as we love him because he's a Buffalo Bill and he says things like, I want to make guys make business decisions. I think Devin Singletary probably has the most value in a trade, right? He's the guy that would be more coveted. Like, hey, one of our guys is up. It seems like teams are going to call about Devin Singletary. Like if a guy, if the freaking Titans, for instance, that Devin Singletary would be an amazing fit behind Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? Like,
he fits their scheme. Like I said,
right.
Devin Singletary is a power run style of back. When they brought Stephon Diggs in, you seen, you know, the skill set, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, he had 690 yards this year. He had 775 yards his rookie season. You know, so we look at that like, well, damn, he had a great rookie year. Do you call this a sophomore slump, or because of the scheme fit or whatever the case may be? But when you look at the, you know, the situation, yeah, he does have a lot of trade value more than Zach, because first of all, Zach is coming off an injury. He has no trade value.
Right.
So, you know, Devin Singletary would be that guy you would probably potentially shop around if the Bills were to draft a running back at 30.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem, as much as I want it, if one of those guys is there, it just doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, the breeder just took that assessment away. Now, you know, hey, I'm once again, I'm no Brandon Bean, I'm no Sean McDermott.
Right.
I don't know what these guys thinking. I try to get a feel, you know, for what these guys are thinking, and then, you know, make my opinion on it. And, you know, hopefully, you know, it works out 9 times out of 10. It do, sometimes it don't. But
is there a position in this draft that the Mafia is not thinking about, that we have a position to need, in your opinion? Like, hey, they're like I said earlier, like QB2 was a position that I was like pounding the table for a long time, and the Mafia was like, what? Why? We don't need it. We got Matt Barkley, and I'm like, he is not going to cut it. If Josh Allen gets hurt, we're in trouble. Is there another one of those positions that we're not thinking about? Position to need?
tight end,
yeah.
Tight end, and I want to see a hybrid safety. I want to see McDermott bring his safety in here. We got the best duo, but, you know, and Dean Marlowe's solid, but he's a free agent. He hasn't resigned.
Yep, hasn't resigned.
So we need another safety. We definitely need some. We need guys on the back end. If you're looking at that Kansas City game and just listen to what Coach McDermott was saying, we need guys that's going to check those guys. We can't beat those guys with the guys that we have right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need guys that's going to be able to check a Tyreek Hill. We need a guy with cheetah speed out there that's going to hang around with Tyreek Hill. All right. So, you know, we need that guy. We need a tight end that's going to be a little bit more dynamic than Dawson Knox. But year 3, watch Dawson. Watch Dawson this year coming up. All right.
Yeah.
Bills Mafia, just watch Dawson this year. But
Yeah.
the Bills will draft a tight end. When you look at that, they ain't bring a veteran tight end here. They wanted. Well, we got Hollister. We got Josh Guy. Josh brought his Wyoming crew in here. We got Tanner Gentry and Jacob there. But I still think that the Bills are going to still pick another tight end. Someone preferably with a blocking standpoint. I know we still got Tommy Two-Tap, but, you know, not sure what he's going to do coming off COVID there. And that's your blocking guy. But tight end, and I want to see the Bills get a hybrid safety.
Yeah. We're talking with Muki Hakwins, and we're gonna let you guys ask him some questions here in a moment if you've got them. But you brought up the Kansas City game, and you have insight that most of the people that I come in contact with don't have, because you're at least, if you're not in the locker room, you're in the virtual locker room. Kansas City game. So we would have been left to speculate that that the Buffalo Bills felt that their not head coaching, their assistant coaches and some other guys were a little bit distracted AFC Championship week game, right? So there's a great deal of like, we just got out coached. Our guys weren't ready. That wasn't the best game the Buffalo Bills put in the field against in that AFC Championship game. We would have been left basically just assuming that was what it was, and that was the narrative, and like, hey, this is what we think. And Leslie was busy like working on interviews. Brian Dable was busy working on interviews. Had this not happened, which was that the ownership come out and go like, hey, we want to propose a new rule. And that rule is that no coaches, assistant or otherwise, or front office guys can interview with another team until after, oddly enough, the AFC Championship game. Where do you land on that? Do you think that those coaches were distracted?
I mean, in the Bills' eyes, they had to be. You know, for them to come out and propose that, it had to be.
Right?
It had to bring some sort of distraction to it. For them to openly propose that. All right.
The worst thing that happened is that it went public, in my opinion, because it literally was like, oh my God, like they think that their coach, their assistants were distracted and their team wasn't ready because of it. Right.
Right. I mean, when I pay you to do a job and you tell me, well, I couldn't do this because I was on the phone with Chicago, they got thinking about bringing me to be there. I'm looking at you like, why are you talking to them right now anyway? I need you to do this job for this game this week. I need you to get our guys prepared for this team. Why is you on the phone with Chicago right now? So I would understand that. Yeah, even if it was one time is too many when you're preparing for an AFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's valuable time. I could be talking with, you know, my receivers or my linebackers or something, or just having even that coach's conversation. Because they didn't seem like, I don't know what was going on in that game. They just didn't seem themselves. They did get out to that lead, but it just seemed like they wasn't their usual self. You know,
freaking kiss of death. 9-0 was about. 9-0 on a missed extra point is the kiss of death. That's the kiss of death in the NFL. If you get the 9-0 on a missed extra point, it's like you lose. It's just, I don't know what it is.
I couldn't do the pressure at the end. I couldn't do it. I'm telling you.
Like, I'm out.
I didn't ask no questions after that game. I was jive steaming. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm a Bills fan. I'm born and raised here. Okay.
Love it.
You know, a lot of the journalists around here, they're not. You know what I mean? But hey, you know, I'm a Bills fan. I'm born and raised here. I've been a Bills fan since birth. All right. So, you know, I'm going to try to be as biased as I can. But at the end of the day, that's my squad. So what? You know what I mean? You know, if I was doing this for the Raiders, it'd probably be a little bit more different as far as the questions I'm going to ask. But probably not. You know what I mean? But I'm a Bills fan. I'm sorry, America. I'm a Bills fan.
Last question that I have for you, and then we're going to move off into some fan questions, some Mafia questions. What can you tell me as the only member of the Corey Bojorquez fan club, the only guy that owns a jersey, as far as I know, but I didn't buy it on my own, like, volition. Like, I lost a bet with Jay Spence, so I had to buy it. It's pretty clear at least the rumors that we're hearing, he does not want to be in Buffalo, and the Bills know it, that he doesn't want to be here. So what's going on in that situation?
Well, it goes down to the same thing we talked about earlier. When a guy understands his market value, he wants that market value. Some guys chooses to go different routes, like Matt and Isaiah. You know, they didn't care about the market value because they was the continuity and the familiarity were more valuable for that 1 year than trying to go somewhere else and start over again. You know, it's easy for us to say, but it's kind of it's hard for you to start over again, especially when you didn't finally got it. You know, it finally clicked. Right. You had success with it, and okay, they don't have the money available that, you know, you want right now. Right. But who's to say? I mean, they signed this, and the Bills will have more than enough money come next season to re-sign all of those guys. So, you know, like I said, Trubisky, Isaiah McKenzie, you know, one thing I can say about the Bills, they look at that loyalty aspect and they reward that. So come next year, if McKenzie do what he's supposed to do, he's going to have an extension. We won't have to worry about that. Josh is going to get his. Tremaine's got his coming up. But for Bojorquez, he wanted his market value. They wasn't on the same page as far as, you know, contracts, and the Bills moved on quickly from that. Obviously,
Gotcha.
you can see with the Matt Hawker, you know, acquisition. So, you know, now Bojorquez doesn't have a job right now
Right.
because you wanted to get top dollar. You wanted to get more bang for your buck.
Now you're on the street.
Now, are you happy?
Now you're on the street.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Overreaction Sports Podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network with my guy, Muki Hakwins. And we're going to take some questions now. I'm not going to keep you much longer, but if any of you guys have any questions, go ahead. What are you going to say?
We can shoot, man. I can shoot. I got time.
Yeah, he's got all the time in the world. So if you've got questions for Muki or myself, go ahead and feel free to throw those in the comment section right now. We are not at the point we don't live in super chat land around these parts. We don't have 1,000 subscribers yet. Once we get those, we'll have super chats. But here you go. Good Lord, Muki, Hokie Divine Diablo at safety. Did he sound like a fit for the Bills when you spoke with him?
Oh man, he loved it when he spoke to it. Yeah, he loved it when I mentioned that. You know, did he interview the presser? You just gotta go to the presser and see his, you know, his face lit up, and you know, he told me a story that the Bills was saying. Like, I had him on my mock draft 1.0, so you know, to get the opportunity to speak with those guys that I had on my mock 1.0, I wanted to really see, did the Bills reach out to these guys?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, the Bills have. So I'm kind of on the cusp of I'm there, but I just don't know how they got it on their board. You know what I mean?
Right.
Shout out to my guy, D. Kendig. If you're not following Dean Kendig from Draft Tech, Bill, you're doing yourself a disservice. So he sent me to his board, and you know, right after the season, and I looked at the board, and one thing I told you again, Coach McDermott, size and speed. I'm looking at size and speed. He popped right up at 6'3", 6'4", 225, run a 4.4, playing safety, had 4 interceptions last year.
Wow.
You know, so here's that guy. Here's that hybrid guy that's going to be around come 4th, 5th round.
Yep. That
you can grab this guy and he can be awesome. He could be your next Jeremy Chin that's out there in Carolina right now. So, you know, he's big like a linebacker, but he can cover like a corner and a safety. So, you know, that's kind of like, you know, player flexibility. They love those players that has intangibles, that's interchangeable. Me being a coach, I love players that I can put at multiple positions because it's hard to scheme for that. You don't know where this guy is going to line up. I can have him at end. I can have him at backer. You know, he's big enough. I can have him at safety and walk him down. So, you know, player flexibility, the Bills love that. And he definitely is a scheme fit. He's most definitely, what is that? Intimidator TJ. Yep. Intimidator TJ.
For those of you that are not, if you're on Twitter and you're not following Dean Kindig, to Mookie's point, it's at @TCBills_Astro. I am following him as well. Dean is a great follow at @TCBills_Astro. We are getting questions, which is good. What are your thoughts, Mook, on from Positivity Bless? What are your thoughts on Dane Jackson?
I thought Dane Jackson definitely was a steal at 7, the way he produced for the Bills this season. I did think that he did warrant some playing time last year, but due to business reasons, you know, some games he was inactive where I felt that he should have played. He did have the little knee injury, and you know, once that happened, then okay, you got to throw Josh Norman in there because we're paying him $4 to $6 million for 1 year. So I got to play this guy right now. So
there's something about a guy that flashes. And every freaking time Dane Jackson is on the field, he flashes. His number shows up. Like, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I played sports, and there was times when I was younger, right? And it was like, you know, I'm the young guy in the varsity squad, and it's like the coach puts me in, and I hit a double straight up the center field to defense, and like, what happens? I play the next game because it's like, whoa, I put him in, and something happened. Like, it just seems like the Bills didn't do that. It's like Dane gets on the field, he flashes, and it's like right back to Levi.
Well, no, it's a part of their development. You got to understand, it's a method to their madness. You know, one thing I can say about this coaching regime, they're great developers. They know how to develop guys. So when you say, okay, the knock on Uwe, he didn't get a sack last year, or he's just so raw. Why did Bills take him at 30? Because the Bills know how to develop that. Once again, at 6'5", 260 pounds, you cannot teach 4-3.
No.
All right, that's unheard of. Okay, that is unheard of. That's all the Bills need coming off the edge is 4.3. He don't have to have necessary tools. Just get off. If he can get off in 4.3 seconds, I know the quarterback is on his back. All right, so he can teach that. The Bills can develop that. So I wouldn't be mad if the Bills choose Uwe at pick number 30.
A couple quick tight end questions. Bills Mafia STF asks, Mookie, what tight end in the draft do you think we have our eyes on?
Trey McKitty.
Trey McKitty. Write it down. Trey McKitty. And then another one, Harold Kozlowski asks, with tight end Hollister signing, are we done with free agency at tight end? I guess the Ertz thing is still kind of out there, right?
Yeah, the Ertz thing is still kind of out there, but right now it's concerning the Bills. They're kind of stale because, you know, the Eagles wanted to get more bang for their buck, and the Bills was not going for that. Like you were just talking about reaching. They're not going to overextend. They bring in Zach Ertz, even though they know he's a dynamic player, and you have to account for a guy like Zach Ertz being out there. Just was too rich for the Bills' blood. What Philadelphia was offering at that time. Now maybe it might revisit themselves because now they just want to just get rid of him, and you know that could revisit. But you still have other teams that was waiting in the wings too. You know they got that Indianapolis Colt Philadelphia Eagle thing going on because the connection, you know what I mean? So, you know, there's other teams there, but I think the Bills will go draft, if anything, right now.
I love this question from Steve Lynn. Do you think the Bills have reached in the draft in the last 2 years at all?
Is this concerning their first round picks?
Just in general? Obviously, it would be, you're not going to reach in the fifth. You're going to reach more like the first, second round is where you're going to reach.
So
but
they didn't reach with Espinoza.
Somebody said that earlier in the chat that they felt that the Bills reached with Epinesa.
They didn't reach with that. I mean, when you look at it, Espinoza was considered to be in some people's eyes better than Chase Young coming out. He was the number 2 pass rusher in the draft. You know, right.
Hindsight 2020, bro.
You look at it now.
2020.
This was before. You know, this was before the season. This was coming out of the draft. But now, yeah,
they're already sculpting his bust. For Canton, Chase Young is the real deal, bro.
Yeah, so I still don't think that was a reach, but they was high on him. I do think that probably Jeremy Chin was somebody they were coveted too, but they liked Epinesa more at that point in time. So they went that route for a guy that they had high on their board at 1, who they didn't think that was going to be there at that pick in the second round. You know, they had to get him there. So I don't think that was a reach. And then the year before that, who did the Bills take before that?
First round in Ed Oliver.
No, that wasn't
not a reach.
It's not a reach. You just gotta put a big fat guy. You gotta put a big fat guy next to him.
That's right. Intimidator back in. Intimidator TJ. He says safety Christian Uphoff, Illinois State. Bills meet with him, 6'2", 250 pounds. Did you get a chance to talk to him?
I did speak with Christian Uphoff from Illinois State, and I did ask him that. I got to pull that one up. I got to pull that interview up. I didn't put it out there, but I will pull it up, TJ, and I will tag you into that so you can hear what he had to say. Christian Uphoff. When I spoke with Mel Kiper, who was this year's Jeremy Chin, he was like, you know, hey, let's just stay at Illinois State and Christian Uphoff. So, you know, here's a guy that, you know, now also he's a dynamic, DB, but you know, he's dynamic in the return game too. Something, you know, that the Bills are still looking for, even though they do have McKenzie. You probably want to potentially draft you a guy that you can develop at that spot. Who knows? So Christian Uphoff was definitely on the radar. So I'm telling you, like I'm kind of close on their trail without them actually telling me. You know, these guys.
You made the statement, and I meant to say something, and it slipped, but it just came back to me that you were like, now I am not, as a coach, in the same league or in the same stratosphere as Coach McDermott. But let's be honest for a second. There are head coaches in the NFL that have elevated from high school to the pros fast. And then there's guys like Mike Pettin that went from head coach of the NFL to high school head coach fast. Like, you're not that far away. Like, you might be surprised.
Hey, if you know what you like, you know what you like, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
You know, just go shopping and go get it.
Hey, Rich from Built in Buffalo just says, nice duo tonight. Hey, Rich, thanks for watching and just being part of the show. Appreciate you. Lone Wolf, my guy. Mookie, who is your sleeper player in this year's draft that can be had on day 3 or as a U. That's a wide gap. Oh no, I guess day 3. I was thinking round 3. Day 3. That's okay. I'm better now. Day 3 or UDFA. So sleeper that nobody's thinking about.
A sleeper that nobody's thinking about. And maybe their pro day is coming up this week. TJ Slayton, defensive tackle, Florida. When you put the tape on, when you put his highlight tape on, he's a junior. He came out early. So that's right now. Right now, they saying day 3 guy. But
man, he's getting bad advice. If he was talked into coming out early and he's going day 3, he got bad advice.
Yeah, but he can slide. He's one of those tweener, late second day guy going into the third. When you look at his tape though, Jordan Phillips all day, 6'5", 340 motor. You wouldn't believe. I'm just thinking of, man, maybe we put that guy next to Ed Oliver.
We're gonna have to. Well, I guess the Bills are tied into Star Lotulelei for at least 2 more years because of his cap number. But yeah, you think it's 1? It's 22 this year, right? 22 million or something like that.
But that last year they can do whatever they want to do with that. They're not stuck with him in that last year. This year they got to deal with him this year.
Yeah,
next year, it's evaluation time.
My guy Richard Rush asks, Muki, what have you heard about our newest defensive end from Carolina? Ike, right? He looks like a physical beast. The dude looks like a monster. And I don't know, dude, if you listen to Jacob Banks, but he put that self-highlight reel out there, and it was to a Jacob Banks, and I'm a huge Jacob Banks fan. So like he immediately had my respect, because Jacob Banks for me is like, dude, you turn the lights down, grab yourself a drink of something, and just let the music play. And like Jacob is awesome. But what do you think of the new guy? It's Ike, right? Ike Obata. Ike Obata. Yeah. What are your thoughts? He looks like a monster coming into his own.
Yeah, I mean, it's another project piece. Now, there's a guy that chose Buffalo over other guys and took less money to come here. So I'm not sure if there's any familiarity with, the Carolina connection, because I think he was.
It's got to be a scheme fit. It's got to be a scheme fit. He played for Ron Rivera. He played for Ron Rivera.
He's definitely a scheme fit. And Ron Rivera told me last year at the Super Bowl that the Bills were going to get
time out. Ron Rivera told me at the Super Bowl last year.
He told me expect a lot of guys from Carolina. He straight up there told me in the green room, first take. We was backstage at first take, and he was telling me that hey, expect a lot of guys to come in. He the one that told me that Mario Addison was coming to Buffalo before Mario Addison actually came to Buffalo.
The boys,
so he said expect a lot of Carolina guys to be going to Buffalo, and
well, they've all come here. They've all at least stopped over for an evening, like every one of them, including the maintenance guy. So I mean, all of them have been here. So
it's a good situational piece. He was a good situational piece. You still got to build a roster. Does he push DJ Johnson for that spot? I mean, another guy that we sleeping on that's already on the team is Mike Love. I would like to see Mike Love get a little bit more, time out there. Hopefully this year could be a coming out party for him. The Bills definitely going to have to answer some questions coming off that edge. But you got 2 guys with big contracts that's pretty much, in the wrong side of 30. And then you got these development pieces that who's going to rise to the occasion, who's going to step up and, say that, okay, I'm next up, so that's the problem, with that pass rushing. So they're bringing more guys in to make it competitive. And once again, we get Uwe at 30. You got Uwe, you got F. Benessa, you got 2 young guys that's going to come off the edge for a long time in Buffalo with Ed Oliver and my sleeper guy from Florida.
Raro. My guy Kenny Dudek asks, what is the most pressing position, tight end? Have we had anyone reputable at that position since Pete Metzelaars? You've already said, Kenny, Muki has already said that watch out for Dawson Knox in year 3. So you want to double down on that?
I'm doubling down on that. When you look at the Bills development and all those guys, everything like kind of materialized year 3. Josh Allen, year 3. Deion Dawkins, year 3. Even Tre'Davious White, year 3. Teron Johnson, year 3. So now when we get to Dawson Knox, year 3, this is the make or break point for Dawson Knox this year.
Mm.
And we drafted Dawson Knox to be the dynamic tight end because once again, the guy runs a 4.5 40. All right, that's fast for a tight end. That's probably one of the fastest tight end in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Hollister, he's pretty fast too. So the Bills have some speedy tight ends. They just don't have a big speedy tight end.
They're a mirror image of each other, in my opinion. Like they're literally like it's almost an aspect of like you put both of them on the field together, and like defenses are like, wait, wait, I'm confused because they trust Dawson to block. Dawson's in the block a lot, and they did a lot less fat guy blocking with with Lee Smith. I mean, Lee Smith in 19 was the extra tackle, right? Like to help them, like extra fat guy out on the outside.
Right.
And Lee didn't play like when he did play, he was catching footballs. Whereas like when they needed 5 wide, 4 wide, they needed to block.
Mm-hmm.
Dawson was in there, so they trust Dawson to block. Like they
But
trust
Dawson
him.
Dawson got to learn how to play with leverage. He's not. He doesn't know how to play. Well, I can't say he doesn't know how. He's just been struggling to play with leverage. I seen Jamal Adams come off a safety blitz and just barrel him back into the quarterback and make a play. When you look at a safety treating my tight end that way, I got to go get a guy that that can do that way better than what Dawson Knox can. He's not playing with leverage. That's something he has to learn. In year 3, it just automatically kick. It just becomes natural. It becomes natural at some point. I don't know what's going on in year 3, but year 3 is that make or break point. And I think Dawson Knox is going to have a breakout year next year.
He's a big old boy. He came to our church his rookie season. Life Church Buffalo, shout out. And I'm not kidding you, man. I was at the back door and I was like, like I'm 6 feet tall. He's a big old boy. He is a big old boy. Bills Mafia STF with another question. What do y'all think about them in the middle rounds drafting a Darden to compete with McKenzie for return duties as well as wide receiver?
I like that. I mean, I was high on Cordero Patterson coming here before the McKenzie thing became. You know what I mean? If I get Trubisky in the presser, I might ask him, hey, man, you want to call Cordero up? You know, when it comes to Buffalo, Pro Bowl kick return, we trade, we replace a Pro Bowler with a Pro Bowler.
I'm not sure that it's locked in yet. Like that McKenzie's doing. So we've lived in this luxury land of Andre Roberts, Pro Bowler, perennial Pro Bowler, returning punts and kicks. Like that's not normal. Like most teams have a kick returner and they have a punt returner. So I'm not necessarily sold that like McKenzie's got both in the bag. Like Tyler Gentry has experience. Obviously, Micah Hyde can catch punts. I wouldn't necessarily call him a punt returner, but he's a ball security kind of guy. I mean, there's a chance that like Ike might not get it or he might not get both, right?
Right. Well, don't forget Burrito could return to be a kickoff returner.
That's another one too that we're not thinking about, right?
He could be a kickoff returner. So, the Bills right now, if you listen to what Breen says, they want to make sure that they have the most competitive roster that they can possibly get, because now you get a fair evaluation when you got guys competing at every position at a high level. The cream rises to the top. So out of that competition, man, the best man is going to win in the Bills' eyes. And competition is going to push competition. Competition is going to bring the best out of you. So the Bills are doing nothing but making this a competitive 90-man roster, not a 53, competitive 90-man roster. So that, they building, they got to bring guys in to compete, So you see Power come in as a kick returner after the Bills signed McKenzie. So there's nothing really to feed into. Like there's something wrong with McKenzie. They just bringing guys in to come and compete, That's good. So they got to bring their A game.
Mookie, they love you. They won't let you go, man. The questions just keep coming. So for the Mafia in the chat, if you are on YouTube, do me a favor, go ahead and like and subscribe to the Buffalo Rumblings YouTube channel. So Spin 0481 asks, and I can't pronounce these names, so you can go ahead and ask that question. Rosso and Aweha.
Rossiel.
Which one are you thinking for pick 30? You've already pretty much said you want Awe, right?
Uwe. It's
Uwe, yeah.
That's why is we shortchanging 4.3? Do we know anybody at 6'5", 260 ran a 4.3 ever?
Well, but I don't want to get caught. I don't want to be Al Davis. I don't want to get caught up in that
Davis,
number,
bro. Listen, right here, you got to go Al Davis. I'm sorry. This is my Al Davis moment.
Generational freak. Mookie's taking him.
Yeah, because you cannot. He's a big, fast. He's the fastest molded clay that you can ever possibly have.
If he can't shed a blocker, it doesn't matter how fast he
I'm
is.
going to teach him how to shed that block. That's my job. That's what I'm drafting him. I'm drafting him because I'm going to teach 4-3 how to shed off a block.
Have they done a very good job of showing Tremaine Edmonds how to shed a block yet?
Well, kind of.
No.
But they got to put him off the edge sometimes. You know, I
Yeah.
requested that at some point. Like, yo, have him come off the edge. He's probably your best defensive end at one point.
You're probably right.
6'2", 250. He's your best defensive end at one
He's got the
point.
length and the speed for it. It's amazing that they try to run him up the gut. You watch him do Paul Posluszny things a lot when it's like maybe he's a little better than Paul Posluszny, right?
One thing I can say, though, and when you look at week 1, the Bills, like, I never saw them blitz so much. You know, 9 times out of 10, McDermott and Coach Frazier, they wasn't really a blitz happy team. But here it is, year 3 in the scheme. What else could I do that these guys haven't done? All right, let's up the ante on the blitzing, right?
Right.
Prime example. Oh man, they sit in the house. You looking at this game, and I was like, damn, the Bills got 10 people straight across the line. They about to sit in the house. Or Tremaine, you got Crowder. You better make sure you get Crowder. What happens? They sit in the house. He hits the pass off to Crowder. Tremaine Edmonds missed that block. Crowder pops it, and he gets hurt. So the Bills stop blitzing heavily like that. And that's the last time I've seen the Bills really get super duper aggressive. Now, they had no choice to get aggressive at certain times, but yeah, they was kind of like pitch count on with Tremaine because of that reason alone. You know, those guys getting hurt.
He was definitely different. It was clear he was a different player injured than when he was healthy. As far as even just instinctively first step, different player. He was thinking about his first step when he was injured versus when he was better. He was not thinking, like he was just going. He was reacting. Right. Bills Mafia STF back in. Knox is the tight end equivalent of JA-17. If you think about it, he was a QB and a barely played tight end. He can figure it out. I think we're in agreement there. Here's a good question from Matt Gavenda, my guy. Any big trades possible in this draft? Where do you see do you think we talked about it? The Bean has not had a draft where he hasn't liked to trade. We move out of 30, you think?
If the Bills try to move back, I don't think the Bills move back that far. If they're at 30, let's say, okay, you find Jacksonville at 33, 34. You start there. Only thing you could probably get out of that deal, you move back 4 or 5 spots and they get a 4th rounder. All right. The Bills don't have a 4th round pick. So maybe that might be appealing to Buffalo to trade with Jacksonville, because Jacksonville, you know, Urban, he wants to get more impact guys he can possibly get. So if I can move up a few more spots in the 1st round, again, I can have 3 potential 3 1st round picks. They could entertain that for a 4th, give up their 4th. They have a lot of draft capital. So I would probably look at Jacksonville trading with the Bills to move back probably 5, 6 spots. My guy that I still have targeted is there. Even if he ain't there, my second guy on that board is there, you know, but I still get an extra 4th round pick out of this deal. So I think the Bills will probably trade back to get their guy and get that extra pick, and then probably trade again. I think the Bills are going to trade it probably a couple times in this draft, but I don't think it's going to be a big splash per se. Like the Bills are going to trade a player that's on their roster, you know, for a draft pick. I don't think nobody, you know, has that type of value right now as far as in the draft.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Overreaction Sports Podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network, brought to you by the Market Dominator. I have been sitting here this whole entire time with my guy, Muki Hakwins, the Bills beat reporter from WUFO Sports 1080. We're going to wrap this thing up. It's been a decent amount of time. Muki, tell everybody where they can find you.
You know they can find me, man. 9 times out of 10, I'm underneath a rock. But if you want to hit me up, man, I'm WUFO Sports, you know, right here on Twitter all day. You can hit us up on Facebook, WUFO Sports Report. I do my radio show every Sunday from 6 to 7. And you know, I got a few things in the works, man. You know, mum's the word right now, but I got a few things in the works with things coming soon.
I didn't know you had a radio show from 6 to 7.
Yep, I got a radio show every Sunday from 6 to 7. Power 96.5. You got to tune in. And
AM or PM? AM or PM?
It's FM.
No, AM in the morning, AM or PM? 6 a.m. or 6
PM,
p.m.?
baby. It's PM. I ain't up with the Roosters now at 6 a.m.
Well, dude, you're gonna have to have your brother on. Like you gotta have your ginger friend on from 6 p.m. sometime at 6 p.m. on the radio. No, I'm just kidding with you.
Yeah, we like to come out off the presses after the Bills games and stuff like that. So we keep it at 6. I have a we're gonna add on a few more spots, probably like a Wednesday jump off as well. And I have some projects in the works. You'll be a part of some of those.
Let me know. Keep me posted. But it has been awesome, dude. Thank you so much, man. This has been a blast. So I just I love all your content. So I watch obviously the Chop Up, and anytime you're on, like it's and I watch all your I always wait for your questions when the conference day Wednesday Bills conference comes on, the pressers come on. It's just
I know. A lot of people do, because I see them floating around. I don't see my name attached to them though, but I see them float everywhere. I see CBS Sports. I see NBC. I don't see my name attached to it though.
I think I reached out to you and I was like, wasn't it the ones like you were just on NFL Network? Like they literally had you on NFL Network asking the question. I don't remember who it was. You're like, when? And I was like, just now. Like that was funny.
I didn't even see that one.
Right.
The candy stuff that by the looks of it, that didn't come from me. The blue cheese and ranch, that didn't come from me.
We know who did it. We know where it came from. We all know. But you the man.
I'm Dangerfield, man. I'm Rodney Dangerfield.
No respect. No respect. Well, we love you, dude. We love you, Mook, and Bills Mafia loves you. You're part of us, and you're just it's almost like having one of us like in the room with everybody. So we appreciate you.
I like to be the voice of the fans as much as I can, because hey, I am a fan, and if anybody want to get mad at that, hey, be mad at it. You got to be fan of somebody.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just a fan of the Buffalo Bills, and I so happens to cover them, which is awesome. Great in my eyes. So y'all can be mad, whoever want to be mad or upset about that. Oh well.
Nobody's mad. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to the Overreaction Sports Podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network, brought to you by the Market Dominator. Thank you guys so much. On behalf of me, Joe Miller, you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, and my special guest, Muki Hakwins. Muki, give me a go, Bills.
Let's go, Bills. Let's
go, Bills. We'll see you guys next time